and welcome to the first episode of Heart Health with Tracey ReNay. And of course, I'm yours truly. I'm so excited about being here today and sharing with you this season. We've got a lot in store for you, but the first thing I need for you to do is to call your good girlfriends, send out a mass text, and share this across all of the social media platforms, and tell all of your friends to come join us on this journey as we prepare to take a deep dive into all things heart health. See you soon.
Introducing one of Houston's most trusted cleaning services, Fancy Clean Services. Why choose us? We are 8 years experienced, family owned and operated, and we stand behind our 100% guarantee of satisfaction. Our expertise includes disinfecting and sanitizing, decontamination services, residential and commercial cleaning, auto sanitizing, move in and move out, decluttering services, plus more. And we are now offering 30% off your initial cleaning. Give us a call today at 713-364-5882. Please visit our website, www.fancycleanservices.com.
Hello, and welcome back once again to Heart Health with Tracey ReNay. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Tracey, are we going to spend this entire time talking about our heart? In a sense, yes, we are. But the first thing is let me go ahead and describe to you what I classify heart health as. Of course, it's the actual organ, the organ that's pumping in our bodies. Definitely going to talk about that. Of course, the show is called Heart Health. Why would we not? But those things that are also indirectly related to the heart, we're going to talk about those as well. Now, again, I classify those things. Let's just start with the beginning. Of course, the heart being number one. Number two, I'm a mom. So my children, they are so very close to my heart. In fact, they were very close. I carried them. So we're definitely going to talk about issues that are affecting mothers and our children and those things, drama that they bring to our lives, the excitement that they bring to our lives. We're going to talk about that as well this season. If many of you are like I am, you're caring for an aging parent. That's, of course, an issue, a matter of the heart. Relationships with family and friends and those good girlfriends of ours we just talked about, that's an issue of the heart. Physical care, physical activity, we're definitely going to talk about that. That's a matter that I classify to be a matter of the heart or a heart health issue. We're also going to talk about our self-care. We've got to be able to maintain ourselves. If you're like me, you're a girly girl, and so I have to take that time out for myself. That's a heart health issue as well. Our spiritual well-being. We have to take time out to have that connection to something much bigger than what we are. Now, I'm a God girl, so I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I believe that he died for the remission of my sins. I believe that if you believe something else, then believe whatever else it is that you believe, but just your spiritual well-being. We're going to definitely talk about that this season. We're not imposing anything on anyone. Let's be clear on that. But whatever your religious belief is, just make sure that you do something. So we're definitely going to be tackling spiritual issues as well. And who knows, we may just learn something about each other this season. And I'm excited about that. Financial. Come on. Can we say that financial issues are definitely close to the heart as well? So we're going to talk about that too this season. And I am excited. Like I said, we have a lot of guests that are coming on this season that's going to share their stories and their testimonies, all things related to, indirectly or directly related to the heart. So I'm so excited to be on this journey with you all. But first, let me tell you what actually got me excited and passionate. I'll say that. What got me passionate about heart health. So almost 5 years ago now, I lost my only sibling. My little sister, she was 42 years old. She was found deceased in her apartment in Chicago. imagine my surprise when I got that phone call from my mother. And ironically, I was talking about my sister at the moment that the phone call came. And I was talking to her to one of my talking about her to one of my daughters, and the phone call came in, and of course, as you can imagine, I lost it. In the garage at home, completely lost it. And so we got the phone call, and of course I went into the house after I got myself together. And well, let's back up. Prior to that, still in the garage, received a phone call from my father, and anybody knows my father knows that Tommy was excited, life of the party. We received the phone call, and my daughter says, "Granddaddy, hold on just a second, Mama's crying." And of course, he wanted to know what was going on and why was his daughter crying. Well, at that moment, I realized that my mother had not told my dad that my sister had passed. He was simply calling me just to check on me at the moment. And so I had to tell my dad that something was wrong, something had happened. I didn't know everything at that moment because didn't get everything from my mother, was just trying to get it. And so, of course, I had to share with him what had happened. And he says, "Well, let me call your mom and find out what's going on." And so we got word that she had been deceased for about 3 days in her apartment. I'm still kind of at a loss right now, but because of the way she had passed, she was in the apartment. It was the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois stated that we had to get an autopsy, and so we did that. This was October of 2015. We finally got her cause of death, which was listed as hypertensive cardiovascular disease. So now we're sitting here trying to figure out, do we share with everyone what my sister passed away from? Do we keep that information to ourselves? What do we do? Because after all, it's a personal issue. We don't want to blast all of this out to the world. And so, of course, I'm sitting here sharing with you today that my parents and I decided that we were going to share. We needed to get the word out to everyone because we no longer wanted anyone to have to go through what we just went through. So I want you guys to sit still. Give us a moment. We'll be right back, and I'll kind of get into a little bit more information again as to what ended, how that ended, and how we ended up here today. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. Well, you're still with me. I'm excited. So we last left off, I was telling you a little bit about how we found out my sister passed away. So her diagnosis was hypertensive cardiovascular disease, which in essence means that she had a heart attack in her sleep. Now, this year will be 5 years, and it's taken me this long to be able to talk about it without breaking completely down and crying. But it was very hard for me to digest this at all. One, because we had no idea that my sister had heart problems. She didn't know she had heart problems. And so trying to understand all of that was like, whoa, what in the world? Well, learning that, we then learned that heart disease is the #1 silent killer among African American women. Sadly, most women don't know that they have heart disease until, as in the case with my sister, it's too late. And so when I found that out, of course, it became my mission to kind of say, okay, what's going on? Let me kind of stop and get myself checked out. And so that's what I did. I went to the doctor and said, okay, I'm just needed to get myself checked out a little bit. I just lost my sister, my only sibling, to heart disease, hypertensive cardiovascular disease. And the doctor says, well, okay. So we went through a litany of kind of tests prior to find out if there was something wrong with me, if there was any underlying issues or risk factors that I needed to be concerned with. And so at that point we found no, there was nothing that I needed to be concerned with. I'm not overweight, was not a heavy drinker, never did drugs, fairly active, all of that type stuff we needed to kind of go through. She did some blood work, and all of my blood work came back fine. We were great. So fast forward, my father passes away. What? A year and a half later. So now here I am consoling my mother and father, initially because of the loss of their youngest child. It was just two of us. I'm consoling them, trying to get them together. So you can imagine how that was. And then dad gets put into ICU about a month or so after my sister passes away. He's in ICU. Now I'm back and forth to Chicago trying to figure out what's going on. How can, this be, what's happening with daddy? And so again, we go a year and a half later, and then my dad passes away. He passes away, and his diagnosis is cardiomyopathy, which in essence means that his heart the heart muscle itself was no longer able to continue to pump blood throughout my dad's body. And oftentimes cardiomyopathy can go undiagnosed as well. Now, let me just kind of let you know, my father also had kidney disease. And it got to the point where he started having to go in for dialysis. He had used to do dialysis at home, but then he started going into the clinic. He did 2 treatments and that was it. He passed away. And so that is what kind of really threw me into all of this. And so shortly after dad's death, of course, I came back home, had my annual exam. I was like, okay, you all know my sister passed away a year and a half ago. Now my dad has passed away, also heart related. And at that point, that threw me in a high risk category for obtaining heart disease. And so I told you I went through a litany of tests when my sister passed. Now that dad is passed, and so now here I am. I'm attached to a heart monitor. I was attached to it. Initially, it was supposed to have been 30 days, but then it ended up being 45 days. So I was attached to this monitor, and they were like, oh, just continue your daily living, like you normally do. And so I started working out, trying to get myself together and make sure I lose some weight, lose body fat and all of that great stuff. Well, the doggone monitor started going on. They called, they were like, oh my God, what's wrong? Is everything okay? We noticed elevated heart rates. I'm like, I'm just in the gym. I'm in spin class. And so we knew at that point, okay, yeah, this, the monitor is definitely doing what it's supposed to do. It's monitoring me. But the doctors wanted me to establish a baseline at that point. So I needed to make sure where I stood as far as my heart health was concerned. So we did that. Then I had a stress test done and a bunch of other stuff. So needless to say, losing my sister and then losing my father was the catalyst to get me to really start focusing on heart health issues. And then shortly after that, as if things couldn't have gotten any worse, I have a divorce. Yep, people, I got a divorce. And oh my goodness. Yes, so I kind of spiraled. I spiraled after losing my sister and losing my father and trying to console my mother in the midst of all of that, which was and still is, quite challenging on occasion, because you think about a couple that's been together for 49 years, and my mother passes away, or my father, passes away in my mother's arms. So imagine that. And of course, again, I completely spiraled out and literally was not myself. I truly was not Tracey at all. And so having left a home of 24 years, we were married, had 3 children together, leaving, it was devastating. and everything came crashing in on me at that moment. And it was time for me to say, okay, Tracey, it's time for you to go through counseling, because at that moment, I didn't even realize that I had not had a chance to grieve. I hadn't. I hadn't grieved my sister because I was so busy trying to be there for mama and daddy. I hadn't grieved my daddy because I was so busy, helping my mother to deal with this. And when I say I really had to help my mother, it was as if I was a protector or a shield for my mother. I mean, I literally had to go off on some people during that time frame. And even the week leading to his services, I had to go off on someone. Yeah. Do I regret doing it? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? I sure would. Would I have changed it? Yes, I would possibly have changed it. But it was an interesting situation to be in. And yeah, it was very interesting, very tense time. So I couldn't. I did not realize that I hadn't grieved any of this until I stepped away from the marriage. And so at that moment, I said, okay, Tracey, we've got to go through counseling. You've got to go and you got to get yourself together, because this is not you. This entire time. And again, I told you all that I had lashed out in the midst of all of this. So I was just kind of all over the place. Just, yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. We're going to come back and I will kind of give you the conclusion of that, and let you know how that story ends and why we're here and what we're going to be doing for the remainder of the season. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back. I see you guys are still here with me. So after going through that, I told you that I had to go through counseling. I decided to go through counseling, not had to, but I needed to, because I was not myself. So went through counseling to get myself much better. I joined a church home, and just really immersed myself in the word to begin to get back to Tracey. I had to get back to the person that I once was, because I was no good for anyone at that time. I was no good for myself. I was no good, definitely no good for my children. I wasn't any good for my mother. And it got to a point where trying to help her to still go through all of that. And then now here I am going through this. It was, so I had to take that time to pull myself together and rely on some good girlfriends to help me get through the challenging time. But it was tough. But so that's what got me all into heart health. And if you notice, some of those things, of course, the bulk of them was directly related to heart. It was the passing of my sister and my father with diagnoses that are related to the organ, the heart. The other personal issue was me, of course, going through a divorce after being married for close to 24 years. In fact, we were pronounced divorced a month before our 24th wedding anniversary. So that was a big facet, and it was related to the heart as well. And so all of that made me say, okay, I need to figure out something. And then so from living my life from that day to this one, it was like, okay, everything that I've been doing is already indirectly tied back to the heart. So what's my mission? What's my passion? Of course, it's heart health. So we're going to be talking this season about emotional care, physical care, financial care, caring for your children, issues that are related to moms, and things that we're passionate about. And my mother is still with me, so we're going to be talking about aging parents, how we're going to help take care of our parents during this time. My mom is 70 years old, and honey, that little sister, I have to stay on her. If I don't hear from her a couple of times a week, then I have to send people after her. But, making sure I'm taking care of my mom, my aging mom. relationships with friends and those personal loved ones that, that are close with us, and especially good girlfriends. Going through this season of my life, I had some great girlfriends, and I still do. Some great girlfriends who helped to carry me through, to push me through, to basically tell me off when I was slouching. I had a couple of girls, they were there for me. So we're going to talk about relationships with our good girlfriends as well. We're going to bring some girlfriends on the show and talk to them, and just hear their experiences about it. You heard me also talk about my spiritual care. I joined a new church during this time frame. So we're going to be talking about that spiritual care as well, and what it is that, we need to do in order to tap into that, whatever it is that you believe. So we're excited. We're looking forward to sharing a whole lot more information with you all. But that's pretty much it. How I got excited or passionate, I'll say. How I became passionate about heart health and everything directly tied to heart health and indirectly tied to heart health. But let me just give you a few stats that I pulled from the American Heart Association's website about heart disease. So of course, we talked about the heart itself, the organ of the heart, which pumps blood throughout our body via the circulatory system. It also supplies CO2, nutrients. It removes carbon dioxide and other toxins from our bodies. The most people think of, and I mentioned it earlier to you all, that heart disease in women is a silent killer. Most people believe that heart disease is a man's disease, but it's not. Typically, 1 in 4 women will pass away from heart-related issues versus 1 in 5 men. Conditions such as lifestyle choices, changes, diabetes, being overweight, obesity, poor diet, physical inactivity, and excessive alcohol use. These are all contributing factors to heart disease. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Black women are the highest risk for dying early from heart disease. And so most issues related to the heart, guys, can be taken care of with proper diet and exercise. Simple changes to your lifestyle, daily lifestyle living, guys. Getting up, becoming active, 15, 30 minutes a day, just some sort of activity. I tell everybody, even if you love sitting at home and you're watching TV, get up and do something during the commercial breaks to increase your heart rate. Even if you stand up and you do some jumping jacks in front of the TV, you do some squats, to help lift up the derriere back there. Even if you do some leg lifts, or you get, a couple 2-pound barbells and you do something with your arms during that time, just something. The American Heart Association says at least 30 minutes of activity every day will lessen your chances of obtaining heart disease, guys. Lessen your alcohol consumption. I can't tell you to stop drinking. I chose to stop drinking alcohol, period. I'm excited about that. But if you do, make sure you limit your consumption of alcohol. If you smoke, guys, I don't, but if you do, limit that. I can't, again, tell you to stop, to each his own, but I would say definitely limit the cigarettes. You now see a lot of women smoking cigars, so just limit your uses, guys. It's small, minor lifestyle changes that we need to make in order to lessen our chances of obtaining heart disease, guys. I love you all, and I want to see you all around here. I don't want anybody to go through the experience that I went through of losing a sibling to heart disease, especially when it's something that can be controlled with proper diet and exercise. And when I say diet, I don't mean any crazy fad diets or anything like that. Just kind of watch what you're eating. For me, I was a big sugar person. I love sweets, and so I monitor my sweet intake. I try not to eat a lot of cookies and candies, cakes and pies. I try not to eat a lot of carbs and things like that, which is bad because that ends up turning into sugar anyway. So I just started making minor changes starting to add a little bit more greens to my diet, starting to juice on occasion. I really love juicing. Just doing some little minor tweaks, stopping with all of the processed foods and things like that I was known to eat, and a lot of junk food. I also make it a point to, before I leave the house, I make sure I take something with me so that I'm not tempted to stop in the street and grab something, or run into the gas station or into a fast food place to get something. So just a few small tweaks, guys. But this is what got me excited about heart health. So again, we're going to be talking about all things that are directly related and indirectly related to the heart. And I am so excited that you all are going to be here on this journey with me. So if there's anything you want to know, if there's any questions that you have, if there's a subject or a topic that you want to talk about, or if you're excited about possibly being an on-air guest with me, make sure you go and follow the Heart Health with Tracey ReNay page on Facebook. I'm looking forward to you all being a part of this journey with me. We're going to have some fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to learn. We're going to be educated on all things that are directly and indirectly related to the heart. And I got a special guest that's going to come on this season with us too. I'm going to give you all a hint. It's my mother. We're going to talk to her about maintaining a relationship, or maintaining a marriage of 49 years. Guys, my mother was laying on my daddy's chest when he passed away. Man, I tell you, the beauty in that story, oh my goodness. And we talked about it a little bit over the weekend. So stay tuned, guys. We've got a lot going on this season. So I'm excited to be here on the Promote Her Network, guys. You all need to watch all of the shows that we have that are premiered here on the network. It is an exciting time, and I cannot wait to continue to share this journey with you all. So again, follow me on Heart Health with Tracey ReNay on Facebook page. Follow me across all of the social media platforms as Tracey ReNay. That's Tracey spelled Tracey. ReNay is Renay. We are going to have so much fun this season, guys. Thank you all for staying tuned. Thank you for sitting here and sharing why I'm so passionate about heart health and all of the things that are going to be talked about this season. I am looking forward to sharing this journey with you all, guys. So have a great evening, and until next week, you all have an abundantly blessed and powerful week. I'll talk to you all soon, guys. Bye.